The zipper caught on the fabric like a secret unraveling, and in that split second Tessa's fingers brushed Juliana's bare back. Not by accident, but with a deliberate slowness that sent a shiver racing down her spine. "Jules," Tessa whispered, her voice cracking like thunder in the cramped fitting room. "I can't pretend anymore. It's you. It's always been you." Juliana froze, the mirror reflecting two faces she thought she knew, twisted now in a storm of confusion and something dangerously close to desire, as the world outside the boutique faded into the humid Barcelona afternoon. They had arrived in Spain on a whim, two Midwestern girls fresh out of college, chasing the kind of summer that promised reinvention. Juliana Ramirez, with her Puerto Rican roots tangled in the flatlands of Ohio, had always been the planner. The one who mapped out itineraries with color-coded spreadsheets and dreamed of architecture that whispered history. Tessa Hayes, pale and freckled from generations of Irish immigrants in Chicago's South Side, was the spark, the one who booked the red-eye flight after one too many glasses of cheap rose at their going-away party. "Why not?" Tessa had said, clinking her glass against Juliana's. "Life's too short for sensible." That was 6 weeks ago. Now, in the labyrinthine streets of Barcelona's Elborn district, sensible felt like a distant memory. The city pulsed with a rhythm that matched Tessa's chaos. Flamenco guitars drifting from open windows, the salty tang of the Mediterranean mixing with paella spices, vendors hawking gaudy-inspired trinkets under the shadow of the Santa Maria del Mar Basilica. Juliana loved it all, the way the Gothic quarter's narrow alleys forced you to slow down, to notice the faded frescoes on crumbling walls. But Tessa? She thrived in the frenzy, dragging Juliana from tapas bars to midnight beach volleyball on Barceloneta, her laughter cutting through the language barrier like a lifeline. They'd rented a tiny Airbnb in the Ribera neighborhood, a shoebox of a place with creaky wooden beams, and a balcony overlooking a plaza where old men played dominoes at dawn. It was perfect for two broke 20-somethings, close enough to the action, cheap enough to stretch their savings. Mornings started with strong café con leche from the corner cafe, where the barista, a grizzled Catalan named Paco, would wink at Tessa and slip her an extra choco. Afternoons melted into siestas, lazy hours tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender detergent, gossiping about the boys back home they'd left behind like outdated playlists. Juliana had a boyfriend once, Mark, a poli-sci major from Kent State who'd proposed stability like it was a virtue. It fizzled out senior year, more whimper than bang. Tessa, though? She'd cycled through flings like seasons. The brooding artist in high school, the frat boy rebound in college. "Men are puzzles," she'd say, flipping her auburn hair. "But I'm no good at jigsaws." Juliana would laugh, but there was always something in Tessa's eyes then. A flicker quick as a match strike, that made her wonder if the pieces were even there to assemble. The fitting room incident happened on a sweltering Thursday, the kind of day where the sun baked the cobblestones until they shimmered like mirages. They'd been shopping for outfits to wear to La Nit de Saint-Jean, the midsummer festival that promised bonfires on the beach and fireworks that lit up the sky like forbidden wishes. The boutique was a hidden gem off Cara de el Argenteria. All exposed brick and vintage racks crammed with bohemian dresses that screamed, "Eat, pray, love," but with a Spanish twist. Juliana had spotted the emerald green number first. A fluid silk thing with a deep V-neck and asymmetrical hem that pooled at one ankle. "Try it," Tessa urged, shoving her toward the curtained stall. "You need to look dangerous tonight." Inside the fitting room, the air was thick with the scent of mothballs and Tessa's vanilla perfume. Juliana twisted in front of the full-length mirror, wrestling with the zipper that refused to cooperate. Help," she called, her voice muffled by the fabric. The curtain rustled and Tessa slipped in, her presence immediate and electric in the confined space. Their knees brushed as Tessa knelt behind her, fingers grazing the small of Juliana's back to steady the dress. It was innocent at first, familiar like 1,000 sisterly assists over the years. But then the zipper snagged and Tessa's touch lingered, tracing the curve of Juliana's spine with a feather-light pressure that wasn't fixing anything. Juliana's breath hitched. In the mirror she saw Tessa's reflection. Those blue eyes, usually sparkling with mischief, now dark and intent, fixed on the exposed skin like it was a map she'd memorized in secret. "What are you?" Juliana started, but the words dissolved as Tessa rose, her hands sliding up to Juliana's shoulders, turning her gently until they faced each other. The space between them shrank to nothing, Tessa's freckled nose inches from Juliana's, her lips parting as if to speak, but instead she closed the gap. The kiss was soft at first, tentative like testing the temperature of Mediterranean waves. Then it deepened, Tessa's hands cupping Juliana's face, thumbs brushing away the stray curls that framed her hazel eyes. It lasted seconds or maybe an eternity, the world narrowing to the press of lips, the faint taste of espresso on Tessa's tongue. When they broke apart, Juliana's heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. "Tessa, what the hell?" she gasped, stepping back until her shoulders hit the mirror. The cold glass grounded her, but her mind spun. This was Tessa. Her Tessa, the girl who'd held her hair back during tequila-fueled puking sessions, who'd cried with her at the abortion clinic when things went south with Mark. Not this. Tessa's face crumpled, color draining from her cheeks. "I'm sorry. God, Jules, I'm so sorry. I couldn't hold it in anymore." She backed toward the curtain, hands trembling. "Forget it. It was stupid. We're best friends. That's all." But the words hung heavy, laced with a desperation that said otherwise. She fled the stall, leaving Juliana alone with the half-zip dress and a reflection that looked like a stranger's, flushed, wide-eyed, alive in a way that terrified her. Outside, the boutique's air conditioning hummed obliviously. Tessa pretended to browse scarves, her fingers fidgeting with silk fringes, while Juliana emerged in her jeans and tank top, the green dress abandoned on the rack like a discarded confession. They paid for nothing and left in silence, the Barcelona sun mocking their awkward shuffle through the crowds. That night at the Airbnb, Juliana lay awake on her side of the bed, listening to Tessa's shallow breaths. The kiss replayed in loops. Soft, urgent, wrong. Or was it? In the dark, doubts crept in like fog off the sea. What if this was the missing piece? The thing that explained the way her stomach flipped when Tessa smiled, or how she'd always chosen the seat next to her in lecture halls, drawn by an invisible thread. The next morning, over burnt toast and instant coffee, Tessa broke the ice. "About yesterday. Can we just chalk it up to heat stroke? Spain's turning me into a lunatic." Her laugh was forced, brittle. Juliana nodded too quickly, relief warring with disappointment she couldn't name. "Yeah, totally. Best friends forever, right?" They hugged it out, arms tight around each other, and for a moment Juliana inhaled Tessa's scent, vanilla and salt, and felt the pull again, sharper now like a hook in her chest. But Barcelona had other plans. The city, with its labyrinth of secrets, wouldn't let them bury the moment so easily. As they wandered toward Park Güell that afternoon, the gaudy mosaics gleaming under the relentless sun, Tessa linked her arm through Juliana's, a habit from childhood sleepovers. "Race you to the top?" she challenged, her grin flashing white against the blue sky. Juliana laughed, shoving her playfully, and for hours it was like nothing had changed. Selfies with dragon statues, stealing bites of each other's gelato, Tessa's head on Juliana's shoulder as they watched parakeets flock overhead. Yet cracks spiderweb beneath the surface. At dinner that night, a hole-in-the-wall spot serving fideuà, the saffron-scented noodle paella that stained their fingers yellow. Tessa's phone buzzed incessantly. She silenced it twice, then excused herself to the bathroom. Juliana sipped her sangria, the wine's tartness mirroring the twist in her gut. When Tessa returned, her eyes were red-rimmed, makeup hastily dabbed. "Everything okay?" Juliana asked, casual as she could manage. "Fine. Just family stuff." Tessa waved it off, but her fork scraped the plate too hard, scraping nerves raw. Later, back at the apartment, Juliana pretended to sleep while Tessa scrolled her phone in the glow of the screen, thumbs flying in frantic texts. The name on the notification bar caught Juliana's eye before she could look away. Alex. Tessa's college ex, the brooding musician who'd ghosted her after graduation. Why was he blowing up her phone now, halfway across the world? The question lodged like a stone, but Juliana swallowed it. They had a festival to prep for, a summer to salvage. As fireworks preparations buzzed in the plaza below, tables laden with Coca de Saint Joan cakes and sparklers, Juliana decided to let it go. Best friends didn't pry. But as Tessa pulled her into a tipsy dance on the balcony, hips swaying to distant guitar strums, Juliana felt the kiss ghost her lips again. And this time she didn't pull away. La Nit de Saint Joan erupted like a fever dream. Bonfires crackled along the Barceloneta shore, casting flickering shadows on the sand where locals and tourists mingled in a haze of smoke and revelry. Juliana and Tessa arrived arm in arm, dressed to kill. Juliana in a crimson sundress that hugged her curves like a lover's whisper. Tessa in high-waisted shorts and a cropped blouse that bared the constellation of freckles across her midriff. They'd spent the afternoon primping, laughter echoing off the tiled bathroom as mascara wands clashed and perfume bottles emptied. "You look like a goddess," Tessa had murmured, pinning a jasmine flower into Juliana's curls. The compliment landed soft, but its weight pressed against Juliana's ribs, stirring embers she tried to douse. The beach was alive, drummers pounding rhythms that synced with heartbeats, couples entwined under the stars, the sea a black mirror reflecting pyrotechnic bursts. They claimed a spot near a modest bonfire, toes digging into cool sand, passing a bottle of cava that fizzed like their nerves. "To us," Tessa toasted, clinking plastic cups, her blue eyes catching the flames. The dynamic duo conquering Europe one bad decision at a time. Juliana echoed the cheer, but her gaze lingered on Tessa's profile. The sharp line of her jaw, the way firelight danced in her hair. It was beautiful, painfully so, and Juliana hated how it made her ache. As midnight approached, the crowd surged toward the water's edge for the ritual, writing wishes on paper, tossing them into the flames for the saints to carry. Tessa scribbled hers first, folding the note with secretive care before hurling it into the blaze. "What's yours?" Juliana asked, pen hovering over her own blank sheet. Tessa hesitated, then leaned in, breath warm against Juliana's ear. "To stop running from what scares me most." The words hung intimate, laced with the unspoken. Juliana's wish, clarity, courage, burned quick and bright, but it was Tessa's gaze that lingered, pulling her under like undertow. They danced then, barefoot and breathless, bodies swaying to a street band's flamenco fusion. Tessa's hands found Juliana's waist, guiding her through spins that blurred the line between play and possession. Laughter bubbled up, free and wild, but when a slow song drifted in, something haunting from a lone guitarist, Tessa didn't let go. She drew Juliana closer, foreheads touching, the world shrinking to the heat between them. "Remember that time in high school at prom?" Tessa murmured, voice low over the crackle of fires. "You ditched your date to dance with me all night. Best decision ever." Juliana's throat tightened. She did remember. The gym aglow with fairy lights, Tessa in a sapphire gown that made her eyes electric, the way they twirled until dawn, ignoring the whispers. "You were my hero," Juliana said now, the admission slipping out unbidden. Tessa's fingers tightened on her hips, and for a heartbeat Juliana thought she might kiss her again. Here in the open with the Mediterranean as witness. But a buzz shattered the moment. Tessa's phone, insistent in her pocket. She pulled away, cursing under her breath. "Sorry. Work email or something." But Juliana glimpsed the screen. Alex again, a string of hearts in his message preview. The rest of the night blurred into haze. More cava, stolen kisses from strangers that Tessa dodged with polite deflections. Juliana's forced smiles masking the gnaw of jealousy she couldn't rationalize. Why him? Why now? Back at the Airbnb, Dawn painting the curtains pink, they collapsed onto the bed in a tangle of limbs and sandy feet. Tessa was asleep in seconds, lashes fanned against her cheeks, but Juliana lay staring at the ceiling's cracks, mapping them like fault lines in her heart. The days that followed were a delicate dance, affection laced with avoidance. They'd hiked to Montjuic for panoramic views, Tessa's hand brushing Juliana's on the funicular ride, sending sparks up her arm. Evenings dissolved into wine-fueled confessions over patatas bravas. Dreams of grad school for Juliana's architecture passion, Tessa's vague aspirations for something creative, maybe writing. But always the phone intruded. Late-night calls Tessa took in the bathroom, her voice hushed and urgent. "It's nothing," she'd insist, emerging with tousled hair and a too bright smile. Juliana nodded, but doubt festered, a quiet poison. One humid afternoon, while Tessa napped off a hangover, Juliana borrowed her phone to check the weather app. Innocent, practical. The messages from Alex unfolded like a betrayal. "Miss you, babe. Spain sounds amazing. When you coming back to me?" Photos followed. Him at a Chicago dive bar, raising a pint to the camera, then one of them together last winter, Tessa's head on his shoulder, both grinning like fools. Juliana's stomach dropped. Alex wasn't an ex. He was a pause, a break she'd never heard about. Text stretched back weeks. "Love you." Can't wait to fix this. Tessa's replies were evasive at first, having fun with Jules, then warmer. Me too. Soon. She set the phone down, hands shaking as betrayal bloomed hot and sharp. All those moments, the fitting room, the dance, the stolen intimacies, were they just distractions? A vacation fling while she waited for him? Juliana slipped out to the plaza, sinking onto a bench amid the domino players. Tears came unbidden, hot tracks down her cheeks. How could Tessa play her like this? Best friends didn't lie. Didn't use each other as emotional placeholders. Tessa found her an hour later, concern etching her face. Jules? What's wrong? She sat close, arm draping Juliana's shoulders. The touch, once comfort, now burned. Juliana shoved the phone into her lap, screen unlocked to the damning thread. Explain this. Tessa's color drained. It's not. God, Jules, it's complicated. She ran a hand through her hair, words tumbling out in a rush. Alex and we were on a break before the trip. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to drag you into my mess. But being here with you, it's made me realize things. About us. About me. Her eyes pleaded raw. That kiss wasn't a game. It was real. You're real. Juliana's laugh was bitter, edged with hurt. Then why him? Why keep stringing him along while we? She couldn't finish, the vulnerability too exposed. Tessa reached for her hand, but Juliana recoiled. I need space, T. Just go. Tessa left, footsteps echoing down the alley, and Juliana sat until dusk, the plaza emptying around her. That night, alone in the apartment, she packed a mental suitcase of memories. Sleepovers with popcorn forts, road trips belting show tunes, Tessa's hand in hers at her abuela's funeral. Was it all tainted now? Or could love, messy, uncharted, salvage the ruins? The next day, a olive branch arrived via text. Meet me at Sagrada Familia. Please. We need to talk. Juliana went, drawn by the basilica's spires piercing the sky like prayers unanswered. Tessa waited at the entrance, clutching 2 gelato cones, pistachio for Juliana as always. Truce, she offered, voice small. They wandered the nave in silence at first. Gaudious organic arches, a cathedral of light and shadow. Then haltingly, Tessa unspooled the truth. Alex had proposed stability after her mom's cancer scare last year. A safety net she clung to out of fear. But it's not love, she said, voice breaking. Not like what I feel for you. Scary, huge love that could break me. Juliana's walls cracked just a little. You should have trusted me. They sat on a pew, hands entwining tentatively, the air thick with possibility. As sunlight slanted through stained glass, painting them in rainbows, Juliana leaned in. Not for a kiss but a forehead press, a promise. Slow, she whispered. We do this slow. For a week it was tentative magic. Stolen glances over breakfast, fingers laced during sunset walks along the Ramblas. The fitting room kiss evolved into something softer. Brushed lips in hidden courtyards, hugs that lingered into embraces. But shadows loomed. Alex's texts escalated. Call me. This silent treatment is bullshit. Tessa deleted them, but guilt shadowed her smiles. Then came the storm. A rainy evening in Gracia. Neighborhood bars spilling laughter into puddles. They ducked into a kava bar for shelter, sharing a bottle and stories, when Alex's face appeared on Tessa's video call. Insistent, unavoidable. She answered reluctant and his voice boomed through the speaker. Tess? Where the hell are you? I flew to Barcelona. I'm at your Airbnb. The color leached from Tessa's face. Juliana's heart plummeted. Outside, thunder rumbled, mirroring the chaos within. Rain lashed the streets of Gracia like accusatory fingers, turning the cobbled alleys into slick mirrors of regret. Inside the dimly lit kava bar, the air grew thick as Tessa's phone trembled in her hand. Alex's pixelated face frozen in expectant fury. Tess? You there? This isn't funny. His voice, tinny through the speaker, carried the flat twang of Chicago winters, familiar, yet now alien to the humid pulse of Spain. Juliana sat rigid, her half-empty glass sweating condensation onto the scarred wooden table. The bar's patrons, a cluster of locals nursing vermouth, an expat couple murmuring in low German, seemed oblivious, but she felt exposed, every eye on them. Tessa's thumb hovered over the end call button. But hesitation won. Alex, you shouldn't have come. Her words were a plea, laced with the exhaustion of secrets kept too long. Shouldn't have come? After you ghost me for weeks? I love you, Tess. We're fixing this. His camera panned, revealing the Airbnb's balcony behind him. Their balcony, strung with fairy lights they'd bought at a flea market. Juliana's stomach twisted. He'd breached their sanctuary, turning whimsy into invasion. Tessa's eyes flicked to Juliana, blue depths swirling with panic and apology. Not now. Please. I'll call you later. She hung up, the screen going dark, but the damage echoed. Silence stretched, broken only by the patter of rain and a distant flamenco wail from a neighboring taberna. Jules, I swear I told him we were done, Tessa whispered, reaching across the table. Juliana pulled back, the sting of fresh betrayal sharpening her gaze. Done? Then why's he here thinking otherwise? What have you been telling him, T? Half-truths? Crumbs. The words spilled out, honed by days of building trust now crumbling like gaudiest sandcastles. Tessa's face crumpled, tears tracing paths through her mascara. I was scared. Of this of us. What if it falls apart? What if I lose you forever? You already have, Juliana said, voice steel despite the crack in her chest. She stood, tossing euros onto the table, and bolted into the storm. Rain soaked her instantly, plastering curls to her neck, but she ran anyway, through Gracia's vibrant squares, past shuttered shops with iron grills like barred confessions. Her mind raced faster than her feet. How many times had Tessa done this? Pulled her close, then yanked away? The fitting room kiss, the beach dance, they felt like lures now, bait for a heart too trusting. She ended up at Park del Ganardo, the hilltop oasis where they picnicked on lazy Sundays, feeding stray cats scraps of jamon. The benches were empty, slick with rain, and Juliana sank onto one, hugging her knees as sobs racked her. Memories flooded. Tessa braiding her hair during finals week, whispering, "You've got this," like a talisman. The two of them skinny dipping in Lake Erie at midnight, shrieking under the moon. Best friends. Soulmates even. But love? It demanded more than echoes. Her phone buzzed, text from Tessa. Please come back. I'm sorry. Then a location pin, the Airbnb. Against better judgment, Juliana went. The door swung open to chaos. Alex, tall and lanky with a scruffy beard and a Blackhawks hoodie that screamed Midwest, pacing the living room. Tessa hovered near the kitchenette, arms crossed like armor. Jules, she breathed, relief warring with dread. Alex spun, eyes narrowing. You must be the bestie. Tessa's mentioned you. His tone dripped sarcasm, the bestie laced with something uglier. Juliana met his stare, chin lifted. Juliana. And you must be the ex who doesn't take no for an answer. The room crackled, tension thick as the storm outside. What followed was a confrontation ripped from a bad indie film. Voices rising over the thunder, accusations flying like shrapnel. Alex unloaded first. She promised we'd talk when she got back. This trip was our reset, not some lesbo experiment. The slur landed like a slap and Juliana flinched, but Tessa whirled on him, fire in her eyes. Get out, Alex. Now. We're done, have been since before I left. This isn't about you. He laughed, bitter and broken. Bullshit. You're confused, Tess. That friend's got you all twisted up. He jabbed a finger at Juliana, who stepped forward, pulse thundering. She's not confused. And neither am I. Leave before I call the cops. Her voice held, steady as the basilica's stone, but inside she trembled for Tessa, for the fragility of what they'd glimpsed. Alex's bravado cracked. He grabbed his duffel, muttering curses as he stormed out, the door slamming like finality. Silence descended, broken by Tessa's quiet sobs. She slid down the wall, knees to chest, looking smaller than Juliana had ever seen her. I handled it wrong. All of it. I was trying to let him down easy, but it was cowardice. Protecting myself from really choosing. Juliana knelt beside her, rain dripping from her hair onto the tiles. Anger ebbed, leaving ache in its wake. Choosing what? Me? Or just the idea of something different? Tessa looked up, eyes raw. You. Always you. From the day we met in that stupid freshman seminar, arguing over Hemingway like it was life or death. You're my constant, Jules. The one who sees me, freckles and flaws and all. The admission hung vulnerable and true. Juliana cupped Tessa's face, thumbs wiping tears, and pulled her into an embrace. They held each other there on the floor, bodies shaking with release, the storm outside softening to a drizzle. When they kissed, slow, deliberate, tasting of salt and second chances. It wasn't fire but embers, warm, sustaining. "We talk," Juliana murmured against her lips. "No more secrets. Or this ends before it starts." The days after were a fragile rebuild. They extended their stay, scraping savings for another week, filling it with quiet intimacies. Cooking tortilla española in the tiny kitchen, Tessa's head on Juliana's lap as they read poetry on the balcony, Lorca's verses about impossible loves mirroring their own. Alex's shadow faded. A final email from him. "Take care of her," arrived like reluctant grace. But doubt lingered in Juliana's quieter moments, whispers of unworthiness from her abuela's old-world warnings. "Amor entre mujeres? Es pecado, mija." Yet here, in Spain's tolerant embrace, it felt like revelation. One evening, as they strolled the Paseo de Gracia, window shopping under linden trees, Tessa stopped at a jewelry stall. She picked a delicate silver band, etched with olive branches, symbols of peace, renewal. "For us," she said, sliding it onto Juliana's finger. "Not a ring of possession but promise. We're in this." Juliana's heart swelled and she kissed Tessa there, public and unashamed, ignoring the stares. A passerby wolf whistled approval, and they laughed, hands clasped tight. But harmony is fleeting in dramas of the heart. Whispers of conflict brewed back home. Tessa's mom, still fragile from chemo, texting pleas for her golden girl to return to stability. Juliana's own family, tight-knit Catholic, loomed in unanswered calls. And then the gut punch. A mutual friend from college, Sarah, emailed photos from a Chicago reunion. There, blurry in the background, was Alex with a new girl on his arm, but also a screenshot of Tessa's old Instagram, captioned by him, "Lost my way but finding it again. Thanks for the memories, Tess. Second chances." Tessa swore she deleted it months ago, but Alex's hack, petty revenge, had unearthed it. The post went viral in their small circle, speculation exploding. Tessa's secret Spanish affair? Comments piled on, from supportive emojis to veiled judgments. "Is it true?" a cousin messaged Juliana. "Tessa's gone full rainbow?" The betrayal cut deep. Not Alex's but the exposure, the world's prying eyes on their private bloom. That night, curled on the bed, Tessa wept into Juliana's shoulder. "I just wanted time to figure us out without the noise." Juliana held her, but resentment simmered. "We can't hide forever. And if you're not ready for the spotlight." The words trailed, a gauntlet thrown. Tessa lifted her head, resolve hardening her gaze. "I am with you." They made love to that promise. Not bodies but souls entwining in whispers and touches that spoke of healing. But dawn brought reality. Flights home loomed, the summer's end a ticking clock. As they boarded the train to Madrid for their connecting flight, the Spanish countryside blurring past, golden fields giving way to olive groves, Juliana felt the weight of transition. Tessa's hand in hers was anchor, but the horizon whispered uncertainties. Little did they know, the true tempest waited stateside, where old ties bound tighter than they'd imagined. O'Hare's fluorescent hum greeted them like a rude awakening, the bite of Midwest autumn seeping through the automatic doors. Chicago sprawled gray and unyielding, a far cry from Barcelona's sun-drenched chaos. Juliana and Tessa emerged from customs side by side, suitcases bumping like reluctant companions, the silver band on Juliana's finger catching the light, a talisman against the jet lag fogging their brains. "Home sweet concrete jungle," Tessa quipped, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. The viral post had metastasized overnight. Notifications pinged relentlessly as they waited for the blue line. They'd agreed. Separate apartments for now. A soft landing to unpack more than luggage. Juliana's place in Wicker Park. A cozy walk-up with exposed brick and a fire escape view of the L tracks. Felt both sanctuary and cage. Tessa's drop-off was first. A quick hug at her Logan Square door that lingered too long, lips brushing cheeks in farewell. "Call me," Tessa asked, voice small. Juliana nodded, throat tight. "Every day." But days stretched into a week of radio silence, broken only by terse texts. Jet-lagged. "Talk soon." Juliana threw herself into job hunts, architecture firms downtown, cold calling with her portfolio clutched like armor. Nights she scrolled old photos, them at Sagrada Midlaff, Tessa's profile against the sea. The band felt heavy, a reminder of what? Hope or handcuff? The breaking point came via voicemail. From Tessa's mom Eileen, voice quavering with that Southside grit softened by illness. Juliana, honey? It's about Tessa. She's not herself. Come over? Please. Panic propelled Juliana across the city, the L train rattling like bones. Eileen's bungalow in Bridgeport was a time capsule. Virgin Mary statues in the yard, the scent of Irish stew simmering. Tessa answered the door, hollow-eyed, hair unbrushed. A ghost of the girl who danced under fireworks. Inside, the living room was a battlefield. Pill bottles on the coffee table, takeout containers fossilizing. Eileen hovered, offering tea with trembling hands. She's been like this since she landed. Won't eat, won't talk. Doctor says depression, but I know it's heartbreak. Her eyes, so like Tessa's, pleaded. Juliana knelt by the couch where Tessa curled, fetal. Tea? What happened? Tessa's whisper was ragged. Alex showed up at the airport. With everything. Screenshots, the post. He told my family, twisted it all. Said I was confused. That you seduced me in Spain. Mom. She cried. Said I was throwing my life away. Tears spilled, soaking the throw pillow. I panicked. Told her it was a phase, that we're just friends. But it gutted me, Jules. Lying to her, to us. Juliana's world tilted. The betrayal wasn't Tessa's duplicity, but Alex's venom. Amplified by fear's echo chamber. She pulled Tessa upright, arms fierce. Then we fight it. Together. No more hiding. Eileen watched, confusion etching her face, but something shifted. A mother's intuition piercing the veil. Is it true? You two love each other. The room held its breath. Tessa nodded, chin quivering. Yeah, Mom. I love her. More than anything. Eileen's sigh was seismic. Then she crossed the room, enveloping them both in a hug that smelled of home. Stew and lavender soap. Then bring her to dinner. Properly. We'll figure the rest. It wasn't absolution, but a bridge. Over the weeks, dinners became ritual. Eileen's probing questions met with Juliana's steady answers. Tessa's hand under the table, a silent vow. The family, uncles with rosaries, cousins with side eyes, tested them, judgments murmured over mashed potatoes. But cracks formed. A auntie's quiet be happy mija, echoing Juliana's abuela. Eileen's chemo sessions where Tessa read Lorca aloud, Juliana translating the passion for them all. Alex's shadow persisted. A restraining order after he showed up drunk at Tessa's door, slurring apologies laced with blame. The post's fallout rippled. Lost job leads for Tessa, whispers at Juliana's interviews. But resilience bloomed. They volunteered at a local LGBTQ center in Andersonville, sharing their story at support groups. Raw, redemptive. Spain didn't make us, Juliana would say, Tessa's fingers laced in hers. It just woke us up. Winter settled, snow blanketing the city in hush. Their first Christmas together was small. A tree in Juliana's apartment, strung with Barcelona ornaments, Eileen's tamales warming the counter. As midnight mass chimes echoed from distant churches, they exchanged gifts, journals for scribbled dreams, a locket with pressed jasmine. To more adventures. Tessa toasted with hot cocoa, eyes shining. But drama's arc demands climax. Spring brought Juliana's big break. An offer from a firm designing queer-inclusive community spaces in Boys Town. Elation soured when Tessa confessed her own news. A writing fellowship in New York 6 months away. It's a chance, she said, voice breaking over Thai takeout. But if you say no. Juliana's heart warred. Pride versus possession. Go, she decided after tears and tangled sheets. We'll survive distance. Like we survived everything else. The goodbye at Union Station was agony. Platform kisses under departure boards, promises whispered against racing trains. Separation tested them. Late-night calls crackling with longing, visits squeezed between deadlines. Tessa's letters arrived like lifelines. Vignettes of Brooklyn brownstones, always circling back to, I miss your laugh. Juliana's sketches filled with spires reminiscent of Sagrada, captioned waiting for our encore. The turning point came mid-fellowship, a rainy July weekend. Tessa appeared on Juliana's doorstep, soaked and beaming fellowship cut short by a book deal. Her Spain-inspired memoir, Fitting Room Revelations. "I couldn't write it without you," she said, dropping her bag. They collapsed laughing, then loving, reaffirming in the downpour. Years folded forward. The book launched to quiet acclaim, Tessa's voice steady at readings. "This is for the girls who kiss in fitting rooms and change everything." Juliana's designs reshape skylines, inclusive arches welcoming all. They bought a brownstone in Uptown, balcony blooming with jasmine, Eileen's artwork on the walls, a painting of two women dancing by firelight. On their 5th anniversary back in Barcelona for a vow renewal under the stars, Juliana slipped a ring onto Tessa's finger, gold, etched with waves. "From friends to forever," she said as fireworks bloomed over the sea. Tessa's kiss was answer enough. Deep, certain, a story complete. Not every tale ends in tidy bows. Scars linger, doubts whisper on anniversaries. But in the quiet of their shared life, adoptions talked of over coffee, travels to new horizons, they found humanism's grace. Love as verb chosen daily amid the mess. And in fitting rooms or fitting rooms of the soul, they emerged remade, together unbroken.